Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today we have a new set of crazy stories about crazy people for you to enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Our first story. Want me to come to work even though I'm sick? Fine. I've worked in fast food longer than I cared for. It was never glamorous, but the regulars were always nice and I got along with my coworkers. The GM, general manager, on the other hand, was the worst. She constantly complained about wasting food product, had a huge chip on her shoulder because of a divorce, and would show off inappropriate pictures to employees who were with her in the office. She was never mean or spiteful, she just didn't work like a manager is supposed to. Around April, I got sick with a cold and had all the symptoms: runny and stuffy nose, sore throat, nausea, a bad cough, you name it, I had it. I tried calling out, but my GM told me that I couldn't because the restaurant was understaffed. She didn't even give me time to explain that I was sick before, saying, "You either come in or look for another job." She then hung up. She's done this before to other employees. They would take some medicine and come in anyway. But I wasn't having it. I knew what I had to do, and thus I made my plan. The revenge. I didn't take any medicine to help with my cold. I made sure that if someone saw me, they immediately would know I was sick. I came to work looking pale, ragged, and exhausted. I clocked in and went to work. I washed my hands so much that day because I didn't want the customers to get sick, but I had to prove a point. Every employee could see that I needed to go home, but GM said they'd be in even more trouble if I wasn't there. I tried to keep my head held high, but it's not easy when it feels so heavy. I constantly sneezed, coughed, blew my nose. Regulars complained that I needed to be home getting better, but GM ignored them. She actually thought it was better to have me there working, possibly making everyone else sick, than to be at home getting better. What she didn't plan was for the DM, district manager, to make a surprise visit. When he saw me, he immediately pulled me to the side and asked why I was there. I explained the situation to him and told him what GM told me. He was not happy. Before crap went, he told me to clock out and go home and wished me a speedy recovery. I wasn't there when he talked to GM, but other employees told me he tore her a new one, stating how it was dangerous to have me around food in my condition, and to threaten my job if I didn't show up was unethical and unprofessional, saying that if I didn't have a doctor's note after calling would be a better reason to say I would be fired than what she did. The outcome. The next 2 weeks, everyone was calling out sick. I'd made all the other employees sick with my cold. The DM called and told the GM that she had no one to blame but herself since she made me come to work sick. Not only that, but she had to cook the food and help serve it. Some of the regulars even jabbed at her, saying it was her fault she was in this predicament. Not too long after, she got sick herself and had to use vacation time to recover. The best 2 work weeks of my life. No boss to watch me over my shoulder, everyone was back, and no one else was sick. Except GM. And our second story. I gave the car to my wife. The happy. Years ago, I was married. For the purposes of brevity, we shall call her Alice. Somewhat significant age gap when we got married. I was 27 and Alice was 19 at the time. We had our share of ups and downs, and during one particularly hard time, about a year after we got married, we were sunk in credit card debt and had to move in with her mother, who had a whole bunch of chronic medical problems and no insurance. Stepdad is a shade tree mechanic who was not bad at it actually, but couldn't get regular work because he had medical problems all his own. Move in, cut some costs, help family, it's the right thing to do, right? Problem was, Alice and I couldn't seem to both hold jobs at the same time. She would get laid off a week before I would start a new job and vice versa. After about 9 months of this, I was like, F it, I'ma get all the jobs. I get a job working weeknights, I get a weekend job. The temp service I signed up with was really aggressive and got me decent weekday jobs on a regular basis. Only problem was, these jobs were over an hour away from her mom's, and I'd be so dead tired from working, I'd crash at my brother's place, which was 10 minutes away the next city over. I'd only be able to go home to see Alice every few days and have to get up a few hours later so I could beat the rush hour into work. 4 months pass, we find ourselves slowly inching from the red into the black. One day, Alice lets me know that she got a job. It's about 20 minutes away, and only I have a working car. She has friends that can give her a ride when I'm not home, and I take her to work or pick her up every chance I get. This goes on for about a month. Finally, she says, I think I need my own car. It's all good. She's an independent girl, and I can see how hard it is for her to be so dependent on other people. I do some quick math and figure it would take about 4 months for us to get enough money together to get a decent beater that won't die in a year. She nods her understanding, I see her disappointment, and my man pride cannot take it. I level up and go beast mode. I start taking side jobs, mostly construction, with a friend of a friend who pays on a per-day basis to fill out the times when I have blanks on weekdays. When the temp agency hasn't got anything for me, and I pull double shifts for the weekend job, I sleep on average 4 or 5 hours a day. 3 weeks later, I've purchased a car for her, a cute little 4x4, mechanically sound, but dirty AF. I park it at a friend's place, and over the course of a week, give that grimy B-word the most comprehensive cleansing of its life. You could have eaten off the wheel wells. I crap you not. My good buddy Nathan springs for some cheap but nice visuals, wheel paint, seat covers, floor mats, etc., and we make it look even better. When we move it out of the garage, my friend's mom swears it can't be the same car, and I have to prove it to her. I leave my car with Nathan and drive home in her car. Timing's perfect. I'm about 10 minutes away from home when Alice calls me on my cell. She wants to go get some groceries. I let her know I'll be there in a bit and park by the curb one house down. I knock on the door and tell her to come out so we can go. She steps out and looks around. Where's your car? Left it at Nathan's. What did you drive? That? I point at the car. Whose car is that? Yours. She takes a couple of seconds to process that single word. Then her jaw drops and Alice runs back inside screaming, Mom! OP got me a car! The sad. A couple of years go by. Alice has learned how to use a manual transmission because her baby has one. Between myself and her stepdad, Alice has learned to change the oil herself and even took an active part in replacing the brake pads and all 4 shock absorbers on her baby. She bathes her baby herself. She's learned to take care of her baby. Mother-in-law's medical problems are mostly manageable with meds now, and stepdad is getting almost regular work thrown his way by friends and previous customers. We've moved out of her mom's place, and I'm only working 2 jobs now. Credit card debt is down by 80%. Alice also has a steady job. And then I find out she's cheating on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. There's no third time. There must be payback. My man pride demands it. The Mad. A week after the nuke drops on our marriage, I've worked out the problem. She's already gotten her stuff and moved out by then. I call her up to meet, lunchtime, her work, just to talk. I say, there's a little pseudo-eco-industrial picnic area right by the building she works at, and there's a fair amount of foot traffic, i.e. witnesses. There's some chit-chat, and she makes a vague appeal to work things out by dragging my dead dad into it. Hells no. You don't have the right to do that. You had a 1% chance, but that just flat out dropped it to 0. I cut her off mid-sentence. I'm taking the car. Your car. What? The pink slip's in my name. I'm taking my property right now. And if you don't hand over the keys right now, I'm going to report it stolen to the police. But you gave that car to me. I'd been talking in a normal conversational tone up until this time. Her betrayal rams into my chest for the 1000th time. My voice hardens. I didn't give the car to you. I gave the car to my wife. Her brain still isn't firing on all cylinders. She asks, but how will I get to work? Get your boyfriend to drive you. I'm still looking at her. Her face goes slack as she realizes that I am not kidding. I take the keys, get into her baby, and drive off. I look at her as we pass. She still has the same look on her face. And I drive all the way home with the biggest crap-eating grin on mine. And our last story. Guy wanted to open a sporting goods store. Once upon a time, there was a man who owned a piece of land next to a thriving restaurant. Now, this man had owned the land for a long time, 22 years, and it was undeveloped. He'd bought it cheaply, but it had great highway frontage, and he'd always dreamed of building a little used car lot or gun shop on the tract as his retirement pastime. Now the man had the tract zoned as a commercial lot when he bought it, but when the news leaked about the upcoming development, the restaurant owners petitioned the zoning board to overturn the commercial zoning and reinstitute the original agricultural zoning. By the way, all land in the mythical state of Kentucky is zoned as agricultural by default. This was unfair, illegal, and generally rude, but the restaurateur's brother was the county zoning commissioner, so things naturally turned against our would-be entrepreneur. After fighting the good, clean, play-by-the-rules sort of battle and losing, our would-be entrepreneur gave up. He decided to accept the county zoning. Not to see the tract go idly unused, the enterprising retiree decided to pursue another business venture. He raised hogs. Lots of them. 204 to be exact, on his little 12-acre tract. For those of you unfamiliar with the climate in time-lost Kentucky, the summers are downright southerly in their humidity and heat. As you can imagine, a rather malignant odor grew up from around the thriving hog farm. Patrons of the restaurant ate elsewhere. Anywhere else, to be exact. In a matter of weeks, the zoning commissioner reversed his earlier ruling, returning the commercial status of the lot. It's another caveat of Kentucky zoning laws that land can always be used for a purpose lesser on the scale of hierarchy than its current zoning. Everyone, especially the restaurateur, was surprised when the hog farm remained in operation. Nothing, not even substantial financial offers, could convince the new farmer to quit his now beloved occupation. Exactly 3 months and 4 days after the opening of the hog farm, the restaurant closed its doors for good. The farmer, in a fit of depression, ceased hog farming and decided to open a small sporting goods store instead. It remains there to this day, alongside his newly acquired restaurant. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.